guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. The first day, or the first recap we filmed where I've actually wanted hot coffee. Like, it's actually cool enough to enjoy. It's been a beautiful, beautiful week. We've had a couple really windy days, but we have another little bit of a warm up. We'll be in the low 80s and like the 50s at night, which will be really perfect. And it always tends to do that. Like, we have a couple of days that are really cold, and then we have a pretty long season to get things, I don't know, we get more harvested, more life out of our flowers and all of that. So anyway, let's just jump into last week's videos. We will start with, we planted 80 roses at our local community college. So that's what we did. We took 80 at-last roses that were in this little, they call it a quick turn size. Yeah.
It's like the annual size, right?
I think it's a little bit bigger. It doesn't fit down in, I tried to make it fit. Oh yeah,
you're right, they don't.
But it's not that much bigger. It's just slightly wider. It's like the size of their annual grasses, you know, that come a little bit bigger cups. Anyway.
So what, like eight of them per tray instead of 10?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I tried to stick them in the 10 per tray just to consolidate when they were smaller. But soon we had to like spread them out because they were growing. They did grow quite quickly. We had them on hand for 2 or 3 months.
Well, you know, I think what happened is that you and I talked about it in a recap video, perhaps. And then I was like, that's a great idea. I'm going to send them an email. And they were just on it. They were like, yes, we will send you. And I didn't think they were going to have that many. Mm-hmm. And I think the only reason that they had that many is because they were so small. Mm-hmm. They have much larger quantities and smaller sizes. But I'm not sure that an average person can buy those. Do you think that they actually sell them that small?
I think that was actually one of the questions.
Was it?
I think so. Let's find it. Hold on.
Just do that one first?
Yeah. Honestly, love the idea that Proven Winners put the at-last roses in a smaller container, especially if you're working on a large project or have back issues. Very convenient. Does Proven Winners offer smaller containers with roses? So I guess our answer is, I'm not sure.
What's the, like a quart? Was that what that was?
No.
That was even smaller than a quart size? I
think so. We know a lot, don't we? We're so full of good information. Good thing we do recaps.
I mean, share all of our knowledge. I think the smallest size is a quart that you can buy online. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure quick turns is something they offer to the public.
They should. We should suggest that.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think that a lot of people, well, and like people who are young gardeners who have like, I don't know, I saw another comment from somebody who said, like, great for young gardeners, people who have more time than maybe budget.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, you can put these things in that don't cost you quite as much money. You can do a lot more of them, perhaps. And you've got time to let them grow, and roses grow pretty fast.
Yeah.
So it really is a good idea. For some things, I would say, oh, just spring for the larger size because you're buying like 10 years worth of growth for an extra, you know, however much per variety. But there are some things I think it's worth it, like evergreens. Yeah. But roses, I think it'll be great. Next year, those will be beautiful right there.
Yeah.
So, we just took them up to the gym flower bed. The colors of our community college are orange, blue, and white. So we thought, well, it was Erin's suggestion to put orange at-last roses and then maybe fill in with some blue and white next season, which I do think we are going to be planning to do that again around the college next year.
I'm a little bit worried they're going to be a little bit too peachy instead of orange.
Oh, they're orange enough.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
I think it's great. Yeah, they'll look beautiful.
Well, it'll be a pretty rose either way, but...
They're pretty orange.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the actual top comment on that video was from Anna. The combination of roses with white Gara and lavender would be perfect as well and would complete the school's color palette, I think. Because I was suggesting using plain the blue salvia and then a white Vista Snowdrift Supertunia. Anyway, I was talking about the plain the blues and perennial versus annual. We kind of talked about that in our tour, our last tour of the college beds, and how oftentimes we want to choose annuals for those types of locations because they provide so much more consistent color and usually a lot more color throughout the season. It's really fun to have a perennial backbone though, like to have the roses there, but even those won't provide color the whole entire season. Like if I wanted color the whole entire season in that bed, we would do an annual like a canna that bloomed orange.
Sure.
And then you would be guaranteed a huge show. But I think in this case, doing some of it perennial and some of it annual so we know that there'll be consistent color, at least in a portion of it, will be a good idea. Tracy said, A+ for effort with the torch, coffee can, and bucket ideas. Did you fling them when you gave up on them? Pretty much. So, yeah, I mentioned flinging the auger at one point.
Oh,
Yeah, with the handle. Anyway, so yeah, those things didn't really work out so great. So we had seen, a lot of farmers use landscape fabric or weed barrier of some kind, and then they burn holes in it and plant their little plugs in those holes. And so we tried to fashion something similar, and it probably would have worked because Paul tested it out, but the torch would not turn on. And then the planting bucket, that would have probably worked out too, I think. Why did we? It
was just a lot of work for very minimal benefit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like, it would have taken
I tried
us.
it.
It would have taken us maybe 2 or 3 times longer.
Yes.
And would have been a little bit cleaner.
A little bit, like minor.
Yeah. But not that much.
No, and we had a wheelbarrow that we were going to dump the extra soil into, but then I needed some of that soil to backfill.
I think you were right. I think you mentioned it, that if we were doing a bigger job, say with a much bigger auger, like a 2-foot auger or a 3-foot, 36-inch auger, it probably, like a little kiddie pool or something, you probably could have been a lot cleaner. Or if it was grass.
Yeah.
A situation where it's much harder to clean up dirt over grass, then it might have been a lot more useful. But as it was, we were doing so many holes. It was a nice thought.
Yeah. Boy, okay, so we got there at, I think, roughly 1:45, and we were done by 4.
You beasted it. And you did all the work.
It was 98 degrees, remember?
Yeah.
It was hot.
Yeah. You were dripping.
And that's why we didn't do the outro after I was done. We did that the next day because I was a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Chris says, love the At Last roses. Are they thorny? Yes. You used to open or close your videos with a sort of theme music and logo, didn't you? How come you opted to not do that anymore?
Because nobody cares.
Yeah. Annoying. I hate that.
Okay. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. There are some channels that get tons of views that have openers and outro, logos or whatever. So I can't knock it too hard because I know that it works for some people.
Yeah.
But most of the time when I'm watching YouTube videos and I see an opener, I'm like, oh, geez, skip through. I don't want to watch it.
Right.
Because it's just a waste of time. I've seen it before. That's why we got rid of it.
Yeah.
And we got rid of the outro, too, because it was like...
Everybody knows. Like,
who cares?
You're watching the video.
Yeah.
Like, you can look at the name of the channel if you want to or not. Yeah. Jill said, I love how Erin is slowly integrating more roses into your projects. I think there's a formal rose garden coming soon to the property.
You know what? I'm done with the rose garden idea. My idea is to do the back formal garden, make that more like the loop on the south garden, what we're calling the south garden. I really am pushing for that. So there you go. That's what I want now.
Speaking of roses, what is the deal with the David Austin roses? Can you still order from them? I want some of their tree roses, and 2 years in a row they are sold out. Does anyone have some insight? I think that's just how plants have been going in general. Like, keeping up with the demand has been really, really hard over the past couple of years.
It does seem like there's some growing discontent, though, among retailers that it's harder to get a hold of David Austin's plants, and that there just are far fewer retailers that can even carry them all together.
Right.
I think what's going on is maybe that they're trying to push towards selling more online. Which is fine. That's a perfectly fine business model, especially.
And we don't really know for sure.
Yeah, we don't know. This is just a kind of guesstimate from what we hear.
Seeing, yeah.
And selling online is fine because, especially during COVID, like who knows if you're going to get locked down and can't even sell plants or whatever. So online isn't bad, but it doesn't really make your retailers happy if you're leaning on them to sell your plants.
Right. So our experience is really just through my parents' garden center, who they are a retailer of David Austin roses, and they're very selective about who actually carries their roses to begin with. You have like an application process and all of that. But they used to let my mom order like all the varieties they grow and maybe 10 of each variety. And now the list that's available for retailers is very narrow. There's only specific varieties you can order, and you get a lot of each one of those. So instead of like 5 or 10 of each variety, you get like 25, 30 of, 5 or 10 varieties. So you get a lot of the same varieties.
Like a really small amount of roses.
What do you mean?
For a retailer, for like your parents to bring in. I would
well,
think
that's only one line they bring in. They bring in thousands of roses,
right.
But not all from David Austin because, you want to have
a variety of roses.
You want a good variety available, so of different things. But anyway, I think it's just demand in general and maybe a push to online. Teresa said, Laura, that was a huge job. Where's your help?
That's what I'm saying.
You know, there's a lot of times when I'm doing projects out in the garden that Aaron gets a little bit of heat because he's not jumping in and helping me, but he is doing his job. Like, he's running the cameras, moving them around. If we're filming together, sometimes I'm vlogging and doing it by myself while he's doing other things that need to be done. So, like, it's, yeah. Also, I actually work better by myself. I mean, when it comes down to it, I do need help with like really heavy stuff, but overall, I like to do projects by myself.
Because nobody does it as good as you do.
I am not a great team player.
Admit,
I will say that.
You're a little particular about how you like things done.
I am less particular now than I used to be.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I've had to be less
There's
particular.
a small handful of people that you actually trust to do things the right way. And I'm not sure I'm in that circle. Like,
nope.
you would trust your mom to do certain things.
Oh, yes.
Your sister.
Yes.
Paul, for the most part,
Yes.
does things really well.
Yes.
Like, surprisingly well. Because most guys don't do things the way that you want them done.
I think he's got some creativity in him, though.
Yeah.
Because we talk about this, like, in communicating your ideas and things. A lot of times I communicate around an idea instead of just talking, like, straight about it or really pointed at it. But he gets it. Like, he can take all these pieces and kind of collectively put them together for what I want. And so that's so nice, and that's rare.
I've noticed that when you talk about an idea, oftentimes it's in a very abstract way. You'll talk about, like, oh, you know what we could do is we could do, you know, a pool of some kind, and then we could put a centerpiece somewhere over here. But it's not like...
This sounds like a familiar conversation.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, you know, well, what kind of a pool, exactly what dimensions are you talking about, and what kind of a centerpiece? Are you talking about a plant centerpiece or a concrete? And in your mind, I don't even think that it matters because it's more fluid.
Yeah.
You're still forming it creatively in your mind, and so that part doesn't matter. But to me, I'm like, I can't visualize anything you're talking about because there are so many variables of what those things could be that I don't even know where, you know, what we're talking about. I think, yeah, but creative people seem to...
It's
be able to
easier if
get what
somebody's
you're
got a
saying.
little bit of that.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. I don't know. Anyway, G. Baldessano said, so I've been watching Garden Answer for the last 2,000 plus hours. And I came across this video, shopping for fruit trees. And in the video you mentioned you knit during the winter. So can or do you have any videos of your knitting projects? I don't.
We should do that at some point.
Maybe on this channel, maybe on the highlights channel,
Yeah.
we'll do some knitting winter projects. I actually haven't started a new project in a couple of years. I mean, I have a couple of them still going that I haven't finished, but you know, with Benjamin and now Samantha, it's been a little bit more difficult. Aaron, you look, what are you doing?
I need to change the battery. It's
Oh,
about
he's
dead.
like, looking at me. What in the world? That scared me.
Okay, hold on one sec. Let me change the battery.
Okay, we're back. Next question from Donna. What brand is the weed barrier? It looks nice and thick. That is a DeWitt Pro landscape fabric, and it's something that I rarely talk about, but when you see it in a video, I feel like it's an elephant in the room. Like, I'm going to get some heat if I don't
Yeah,
talk
there's some
about
people
it.
with some real strong opinions
Yeah,
about weed
oh
fabric.
my goodness. And I mean, I get it, you know, but I get that there's also applications where it makes the most amount of sense. If you want to have something nice or something crappy, you know, in a commercial setting, a lot of times when you know your limitations, either with staffing or with whatever, the chemicals you can use at a place like that.
Which are basically, you can't.
Yeah, you can't. So sometimes landscape fabric is just what you have to use. We've used it in 2 different applications here at the house because we have a bindweed problem very, very badly. I usually hand pull it, or we use the, which doesn't work, or use the Captain Jack's Deadweed Brew. Has been working great if you mix it up at the strongest concentration. But we've used the landscape fabric underneath our arb hedges because I knew that, you know, arbs don't need to naturalize and there's no perennials planted there. So we just did one single, like 5 foot, I think, or 4 or 5 foot piece of fabric, and then cut our holes and put the arbs in. That way the bindweed was suppressed, and it's worked wonders because once bindweed takes hold in those types of hedges, there's no getting it out because you can't spray it because it'll kill your arbs as well. So it's something that you have to just continually pull, and that angers the weed and makes it stronger and thicker and bigger. So it was just like in that kind of application, and then we used it under some boxwood hedges in Versailles, where just in a spot where we had a particularly bad bindweed problem. So I feel like there are some occasions where it works. Largely not like the best thing to do. I do think it's not the best for soil, but in this application I agree with its use.
Sure.
So, and I don't judge you if you use weed barrier. Not about that kind of life.
What about rubber mulch?
If you want to use rubber mulch, use rubber mulch. Like, I don't understand how, I don't know, judgment bleeds over into the gardening. I'm like, oh gosh, like really, it's...
Just like let people do what they want to do.
Well, yeah, there's much bigger fish to fry in life than the landscape fabric and rubber mulch. Okay, last question from that video is Jan, USA, Florida. Biotone and Land and Sea. I used Biotone. It got cut from the video for some reason.
Yeah.
Like we filmed the whole thing, and that happens on occasion. I don't know what happened.
You know, I talked to Ken about it, and he said that he was kind of surprised. He was going through the footage and was like, huh, that's really interesting that Laura didn't use any fertilizer, and then just kind of went on. I hunted for it and I found the footage, so I don't know, you know, who knows what happened.
Yeah.
That kind of thing happens where like footage is kind of hiding somewhere. And
yeah. Also, you may have noticed in the last few projects I have skipped using Land and Sea, and that's not because I'm skipping it on purpose, it's because I ran out. We have a shipment on its way, hopefully in the next little bit, and then you will see it appear again. Next video is 10 small shrubs that will fit in any garden, and I just sat down with you guys and talked about 10 tiny or dwarf shrubs, 8 of which I had experience with, and 2 of which are going to be brand new, and I haven't planted yet, but I'm excited to try them. So Nancy said, good morning, Garden Answer friends. I planted the Polly Petite in a little space dedicated to my grandmother. Her name was Polly, and that shade of purple was her favorite. Thanks to Laura and Aaron, I now have rooms and spaces in my yard that are thoughtful and on purpose. I learn something daily from you all. Thank you for everything. Thank you for watching, Nancy. Stephanie says, such a valuable vlog on these dwarf beauties. Thanks. Have you grown a Temple of Bloom? Heptacodium, 7 sunflower tree, something like that. I hope you can in your zone, as it's worth the try. I do have one planted in the back garden, and I have one in a container in our high tunnel that looks horrible. Right now it got totally burned and stressed out in our heat, but I want to plant it out in the south garden. I think it'll be really pretty out there. I also love the Sesky Golds. I have 2 waiting patiently for me to plant. Thanks again to both for sharing with us. Pretty safe to say that we all love you. Thanks, Stephanie. Laura said, just a couple of questions. Do smoke bushes... oh my goodness. Laura said, just a couple of questions. Does the smoke bush lose their leaves in the winter? Yes. And when is the best time of year to prune? In the spring. They bloom on new wood, so you can do like late winter, early spring is a great time. Lacey says, Zone 9 plant recommendations needed. Only one in this video and most of your recommendation videos. That's true. Could you please do a video that includes more Zone 9 plants? I mean, I could, but it's really hard for me to do that. If it doesn't naturally grow in my zone, or a lot of plants that I can grow here don't span up to a zone 9, 10, 11, and I'm not as experienced with plants that are in those really mild, more tropical, warm climates. So I could definitely kind of like search through the list of stuff that we typically plant and check all the zones. I mean, that would be worth it. I don't typically pay attention to the high zone number. I pay attention to whether or not I can plant it in my zone. But it would be interesting to see like how many of the things we can grow here would actually grow in a zone 9 as well. It's definitely something to look into. Probably a good winter, late fall.
Do a lot of shrubs grow in zone 9? Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah, just not shrubs typically that like go down to a zone 5.
Sure.
We're a 6 now, but we still plant like we're a zone 5. Yeah, I just don't really love to talk about the things that I'm not as versed in. I mean, yeah, because it's not something I can even really try.
You can't draw from experience and say, you know, when I planted this, I dealt with this or whatever.
Well, what zone are Jenny and Jerry? They're like an 8.
7.
7?
Yeah.
So they can grow azaleas and stuff like that, or
yeah.
rhodies. I can't even grow those here. So you might check out Gardening with Creekside because they are in a warmer zone than us. So they're probably growing things. They are growing things that I can't grow here. So that would give you, I know that like Proven Winners works a lot with them for like Southern garden information, because I can't provide that. I can't provide any information about Southern garden. Well, I mean, some of it carries over, but a lot of it just doesn't, because not experienced with that. Marissa said, my favorite type of videos. What's with the font choices, though? What's with the font choices? I didn't even notice the font choice in that video. I think we try out all kinds of different fonts.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That's a funny thing to key in on.
Yeah.
Kathy said, is the Tiny Kim lilac fragrant? It is. It does have a lilac fragrance to it. Brandon said, what is the difference between the Lo and Behold microchip and a Pugster butterfly bush? They both get about the same size. Both have blue and purple and pink varieties. So is the bloom time the big difference? Thank you for the help. The big difference is the plant being sterile or not. So the microchip Lo and Behold series, they're a sterile variety of butterfly bush. We can't carry Pugsters here in Oregon. We're in Eastern Oregon, right on the border of Idaho. Like if I really wanted one, I could just hop over to a nursery in Nampa, Boise area, and I could pick one up and just bring it over. Like, yeah.
Nobody's going to check you at the border.
Probably not. Probably not. Do you have a Pugster butterfly bush in your car today? So in the western part of our state, the western Oregon, butterfly bushes are a noxious weed. They grow everywhere with abandon. So we can't in Oregon grow any non-sterile varieties. So that's the huge difference. So again, I don't have a ton of experience growing Pugsters because I don't have any in my garden.
It really is too bad because it's like...
Those are big blooms too.
Like over half the state of Oregon, it's not a noxious weed.
Right.
Like it doesn't actually grow.
You know, my dad looked into it once.
Really?
I don't know who he contacted, but they said there was so much red tape involved to get it, like Malheur County, separated from the rest of the state that it wasn't even worth it.
Yeah.
My dad's like, well, kind of it is.
It's just too bad when,
we are completely different than the western side of the state in so many ways. ZTag1P said, I have a couple of questions regarding the Firelight Tidbit hydrangeas that I'm not sure you addressed, or I might have missed it. One, you said you fertilize in early spring. Do you fertilize the same times that you prune? Yes, I do most of the time because it's kind of all part of the process, and usually we're pruning when we see some buds starting to swell, which means there's active growth happening. That's when you want to start fertilizing because you know that plant is like starting to wake up and they're going to start to utilize everything that you put in the soil. So it's a really great time. And you can fertilize hydrangeas on a monthly basis up until about after you do it in July. You don't want to encourage too much growth later on in the season because it won't acclimate properly and going into winter. But you can do that. I typically don't. Usually if my plants get it once a year, like we're doing good because there's a lot of plants out here. It'd be really hard to do it on that frequent of a basis, but you can. Next video was planting arbs, roses, and baptisia in the garden. So we planted a couple of tater tot arborvitaes, some sun ureta roses, and then 3 different varieties of baptisia. We did a lemon meringue, blue bubbly, and baptisia. Blue bubbly. Blueberry sundae. Yeah. PM said there is a well-established precedent indicating you can call something new for as long as you like. In Great Britain, they have what they call the New Forest, which Google tells me was established in 1079. So by that reckoning, the winter coat I bought 8 years ago still counts as my new coat since I haven't needed to buy another one since. But the South Garden is nice. Suggests afternoons featuring sun hats and iced tea. Yeah, I take some effort to actually refer to the new property as the South Garden, and it will for a while because it will feel new to me forever because that's the newest piece of property we own.
Sure.
Is that. So anyway, I'll probably go back and forth for a little while, and on accident I'm going to try my hardest to call it the South Garden going forward. Althea said, love how everything seems to be coming together. I noticed that you are not using Lindsay compost as much when planting now. Is there a reason why? Just addressed that. We are out at the current moment. Sue said, we planted baptisia for the first time this year. So excited. They had already bloomed at the garden center, so do we still cut them back this fall? And if so, how much? Usually you can do late fall or early spring, and I have done both, but I just leave them like a couple inches above the ground when I cut them back. Valentina said, I have an off-the-topic question. Will the tire tracks always stay on the grass pathway like that? No. Now, if we were to run the Gator over the exact same spots on the grass multiple times a day, every single day, it would start to create those lines in the grass. But we are going to attempt to always drive in a different spot. And those spots that you see in that video, they pop right back up. Like in a couple hours?
Yeah, and they really go away every time you mow.
Yeah.
So that like the tire tracks from the mower stick around more than anything else. So it's really not that big of a deal. And we mow like every 3 or 4 days. It grows so fast.
Aaron loves it so much. Like he tells me, I wish the grass would be long right now so I could go out and mow. That's good. Keep that enthusiasm forever. Looking better and more beautiful each day. The Baptisia will be fabulous. How deep should they be planted? It looked like you put them several inches below the soil line, and the arborvitae are adorable. I want it all. That was asked several times about the Baptisia, and I think they are at current soil level. I did not bury them, and I know it looks like that because the Baptisia kind of look like that. Usually with the root ball, like wherever the stems come out, I put a fine layer of whatever, the soil or mulch or whatever, right over the top, but just barely because I want it to look incorporated with the rest of the area around it. But the Baptisia, they just kind of like come out. There's no...
Do you know why it looks like that?
Why?
It's because of the auger. When you use the auger, it puts the soil right next to the hole and it builds up. It kind of looks like the ground around that hole is getting taller and taller. So when you plant, it looks like you're putting it several inches below the soil, but it's actually just that like dust, the dirt that just came out of the hole, which you end up spreading to the sides.
Yeah. Which is included, isn't it? Like, don't you show me like finishing? I guess not every time.
No, not every time.
Yeah.
It just depends on what part of... Nobody really cares to watch like the whole part of you planting.
I beg to differ. I
People
see the comments.
say they want to watch it, but I've done it before and we get less views.
When
It's
you include
like
more
people
detail.
don't actually have the attention span to watch the entire planting process. So, I don't know.
People or you?
Well, I just think it plays out in how many views we get on the video.
I also think though that those stems, there's no like brushy growth at the bottom, so the stems look like they're like popping out of nowhere.
Oh, sure.
And so it does appear like that's kind of what I figured, but yeah, all the soil gets brushed away for the most part. Helen said, I love your videos, but I'm curious about your end game for your property. There's just so much going on, such a huge area. Are you planning to sell your flowers, vegetables, or create a show garden where people can come visit? How many acres are you on? It just looks so big. We are on 5.6 acres total with both properties. And we don't really have a specific end goal other than the fact that we are trying to create kind of an oasis at home. We don't travel a whole lot. We like to be home. So we try to, we pour all of our efforts and all of our budget into our home and our surrounding gardens rather than doing other things for the most part. I don't know. I do see the question too, like if you didn't have a YouTube channel, would you be doing this on this scale? The answer,
we couldn't. We just couldn't.
We'd be working full-time jobs like we were before. That's how we started. We were both working full-time and doing videos on the side, which means like we were putting out just a couple videos per week. We'd definitely not be able to do videos every day. It'd be different. Never say never in terms of selling flowers or vegetables or anything like that. We might find ourselves in a position one day where we need to or want to. We don't do that now. I donate things that are extra and we, try to save what we can use. It's also nice, like I've always been interested in it. Even if we weren't able to do it on this scale, I would want to be doing it at some sort of scale. Do you remember when we lived in our very first apartment, I had plans drawn up for a church garden. I wanted to start a big church garden, and I had like the name picked out. I had a schematic of what I wanted it to look like, which is very similar to what ours looks like now. I wanted a fountain in the center. Then I had dreams of being able to produce food for anybody at the church and then donate what we had extra. And so I've always wanted to do that. It's really fun that we're able to do it now here at home, but yeah, we'd be doing it on a smaller scale. It's just nice to know too that if we ever need to focus on producing more of our own things for ourselves, we've got the infrastructure set up to do that. We have a root cellar in the barn so that we can save what we can use and all those things.
Yeah.
I don't know. And in terms of show garden, this is where we live too, so it's definitely a private garden. It's not open to the public. We've done one tour a couple years ago. That went really well. And we've talked about doing other just isolated events.
Well, I think it'd be really fun to do, but we keep running up into the issue of the privacy factor. It's really tough to open up your property to people you don't know because you don't know who's going to come. And it's just that whole thing.
That doesn't even, yes, that's definitely a concern, but for me, it's just opening up my private home, period.
Yeah.
Whether or not whoever is coming in. Like, I don't even open it up for local tours.
Right.
For people that I know. I mean, they're people that I know, but not like know well. I don't know. It's hard when it's your private space. When you have kids here and all that. Okay, moving on to the next video was edging the grass pathway to the cut flower garden. Super satisfying project. It actually took me, I worked on it for oh, hey Russell. Hey bud. It took me a couple different sessions to actually get that done because I worked on one side on one day and then I worked on the other side the next day. It kind of made it look like I did it all in one fell swoop, didn't it?
Yeah.
But I didn't. So that's the benefit of having like a lot of the same clothes. all the videos look like I do them all in the same day.
You know, when you find something you like, buy
There's
5.
a method to my madness of not going clothes shopping. Blueberry Muffin said, I quit working my early morning job, so now I'm a member of the Morning Coffee with Garden Answer gang. I love seeing all this come together. I'm especially excited about seeing your flower shed completed. Me too. The concrete guy was here today. I don't know if I haven't been out there yet because we've been working, but I need to go look. I'm 25 years old, completing my final year of college, and it's been my dream for as long as I can remember to have my own house. Watching your videos gave me so much joy and excitement for what I will be able to create one day in my space. Until I get there, I will vicariously live through Laura. That's awesome, Blueberry Muffin. I don't know what your actual name is, but I did want to note that we didn't move into this house until I was, how old was I?
32.
Yeah. So we didn't actually live in a house.
Which is young.
Right. For this house. It was young to move into this house. But we didn't live in a house that was separated from another house until I was 32. So you're 25.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took me, and I had a garden in our last townhouse. It was a lot smaller than this one. It was definitely a wonderful experience for me. But we didn't move to that one. I think I was maybe around your age when we moved into that one. So it takes time, like, to get there.
Yeah.
It does. Anyway, and then when we were at our townhouse, we were attached to another house. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's really fun. It's fun to dream about being in your own home, and it is fun once you get there. So anyway, you have a lot to look forward to. Jordan said, what year did you guys decide to upgrade from a riding mower to the Gator? That would be last spring. Was it spring or summer? I don't remember.
Well, it was shortly after we bought the property.
So spring.
Yeah.
Super amazing purchase, like one of the better purchases we have made for this property. The cold frame and the Gator.
But it wasn't necessary until we bought more land.
Right.
You know, like when we had 1.8 acres, the riding lawnmower was great.
Yes.
Like no complaints.
No.
But yeah, once you added, 3.5 more, all of a sudden it was like quite a walk to get from one end of the property to the other.
How fast does the riding lawnmower go?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it goes like 8 or 9 miles an hour.
You think that fast?
7 to 9.
Feels like 5.
It could be
You're
5.
I feel like I can walk faster than that. So, when we added the new property, it was nice to get something that went 15 miles an hour is what the Gator tops out, and Benjamin's on it going like, go faster.
Yeah.
I want to go fast. Like, I have it floored. I can't go any faster than this, which is a good thing. I'm glad it doesn't go any faster than that. It feels a little bit safer that way. Alexandra said, are you guys scheduled to get the brick lining along the driveway put in? Yes. So we were waiting for Chad to come back and regrade the driveway because it was never finished. We put in the driveway, he cut it in, he put in road mix, I think, and compacted it. But then he held off because we had so much going on and he knew how much equipment we were going to need to get in and out. He's like, I'm going to wait on this. I'm not going to finish it until you guys kind of have some stuff buttoned up. I'm so glad he did that because we've had so many trucks come in and out and it would have just been in need of repair already. Yeah. So he's here today regrading and putting, compacting it right now, putting new gravel on top so it's nice and tidy. And then Benny's going to come in and do the brick lining along the grass portion up there. And that'll look really good. It'll look so like sharp and tidy. I'm looking forward to that because there's really it's like the grass is kind of wavy along that. And then we'll be able to see what little areas need to be reseeded along the edge and so on and so forth. Bindu said, are the ornamental chilies and cabbages edible, although they look too good to eat? I think you could eat any of those. I don't see why not. I mean, I haven't, but I can't imagine they, if you get in a pinch and need to eat some stuff out of your containers, I think you could totally do that. Lynn said, every day, little by little, projects get chipped away on the to-do list. How's the progress on the Hartley coming along? I bet you're chomping at the bit waiting to get in there to landscape. I know I am. Yes, I am. So, we've been waiting on HVAC. They kind of ghosted Aaron for like 3 weeks there. Aaron kept texting him and we weren't hearing back from him. And we were hoping that they'd be ready to roll as soon as, what did we need to wait just for the...
Like materials? I'm not even really sure what we're waiting on.
Yeah, it's a new thing. So there's a few factors that are playing against us. One, everybody's crazy busy and staffing is really hard right now. Everybody's short-staffed. It's really hard to find workers at this point.
It's hard to get a hold of materials too.
It is. And it's a system too that they've never put in before. Like, this is new for everybody in this area. Like, everybody that's worked on it, minus the Hartley crew, had never put in anything like this before. So it's a brand new project. Everybody's wanting to do it right. And so they're taking their time figuring out, like we got with an engineer, an HVAC engineer. I don't know what the title was, but we've also been with a sound engineer too, to figure out how to construct things to where we can film in there and have it be good. Anyway, so it's quite the process. We're still waiting on HVAC. So hopefully here, before it freezes, we can get that done. I'm not holding my breath. I'm at this point thinking spring is when we're going to be able to move plants in, because after HVAC is done, then the flooring has to go in. We still have to do electrical and water, which has to be trenched from the side of the house through the sidewalk over here, through the brick patio area to the Hartley. I doubt that's going to be done this fall.
Right.
I'm just setting myself up for, like, it's spring. I can still pop a Christmas tree in there, but I can't really do any plants or anything because we won't have any heat in there.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's beautiful to look at. I'm super thankful to have it. The glass needs to be cleaned.
Yeah.
I've been waiting to clean that glass until we can put the floor in. But, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Just go with it. Gabriella said, how often do you water plants in the fall or winter, especially now that temperatures are dropping at night? Right now, significantly less than we had been. We do check everything every day because we have so much wind right now. A lot of times, especially the annuals that I've still got on hand to plant around the house, they dry out pretty quickly in their little nursery cans. But everything else, pots are staying wet a lot longer. And then through the actual winter, when everything's dormant, I usually water every 2 to 3 weeks. Anything that has an evergreen in it, or a tree in it, or a shrub, or whatever, we water every 2 to 3 weeks, based on, or depending rather on how much moisture we have received, if any. Mary said, how will you remove all that mulch to put in the grass walkways, and what will you do with it? Can we just seed right over the top of the mulch?
Yeah, or there's not that much mulch. I feel like we could just rake some of it out of the way.
That, or, I'm looking at where you seeded the grass pathway that's up, and some of the grass seed got into the mulch area.
It just grew.
It's just growing up, and I think the more you water it, that mulch will soften up.
Right.
Just break down super fast.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Especially with the grass growing up. It'll get eaten up.
Yeah.
All the nutrients, whatever's in there.
It'll probably matter based on how thick. Like, maybe that area isn't as thick with mulch, and maybe the really thick areas, it'll be harder. I don't know.
I'll probably just seed right over the top of it
and just
see
seed
what
again
happens.
if you need to.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of reseed a few
We can
areas.
get seed pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Because of your parents.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Just try it, see how it goes.
Yeah.
Mimos Vita said, what was that shadow? I can only imagine a dragon flying by that fast. Laura, do you have dragons?
Was it a plane?
It might have been a plane or a hawk, possibly. You didn't have the drone out, did you?
I don't know. I don't know anything
It was
anymore.
a dragon. We live in a
dragon.
magical land of dragons and fire and heat. Wind. Duncan said, what type of mower does he use? A zero turn would get the job done faster. True. But.
Actually, I just got a new lawnmower.
That's why he wants to be out mowing the grass all the time.
It's so much fun to drive.
It's so big. It's such a big machine.
So it's a John Deere, of course. An X739 with a power flow bagger on it. I can mow real fast and it bags just fine, like no issues. And it has all-wheel turn, which means that the back wheels turn as well as the front wheels. It's not a zero turn, because I like the tractor feel, like the lawn tractor feel,
as opposed to
the zero turn
are
feel.
all zero turns, both hands engaged?
Yeah.
So how do you have your beverage?
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
with a
Yeah,
zero
if you're on a tractor, you can have a beverage, and it just feels like when you're mowing with a lawn tractor, it's more of a chill mow. You're just
Air ride seat.
relaxing.
Yeah.
and it feels like when you're on a zero turn, you're trying to get work done fast, and that's not really what I'm going for.
Going for leisurely and pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a pleasure cruise.
Yeah. It's funny, when Aaron gets out on the mower at night, the kids and I get in the Gator and we like follow him around.
Yeah.
We just are all out there. I don't know.
Well, I should show the lawnmower at some point.
You should.
But...
It's a big machine, but it does have power steering. The other one did not.
Yeah, right.
So much better. The Gators need to have power steering. The Gators, while they're amazing, they don't. Like, to turn them, it is a beast.
They also don't have suspension. So they're a little bumpy. Like, did I go up a little bit with that one?
They're not. I don't know. I don't notice that so much unless I have a flower arrangement I'm carrying.
It's not terrible, but it could be improved. Like that's a
sure. Cheryl said, your garden is so inspiring. My mind is just full of ideas based on what you are doing in the south garden. Quick question. There was a trio of trees near one of the piles of mulch that look like they're struggling a bit. Is that right? Yes. What type did you plant there, and will they need to be replaced? Those are Renaissance birch. I planted one early this spring before they even broke dormancy, I think, right? I think it was before they broke dormancy. No. They had leaves. It was a later shipment, like late spring, maybe. Anyway, I planted one, and then I decided to do two more late in the summer, mid to late summer when it was hot. The garden center still had two left. It was perfect. We planted them out when it was probably 100. It was over 100 for 2 months. So I planted them when it was really hot. They were already stressed in their cans, like they had a bunch of burned leaves. One of them still has some of the leaves. One of them is pretty much defoliated. It's still alive. I'm not stressed about it at all. It looks like sad, but it won't for long because the other trees will lose their leaves and they'll look all the same, and they should be fine next spring. There's still flexibility in all the branches. I don't see any death there. There's already buds on it.
There's a lot of plants out there that look stressed.
Oh yeah,
from
our
summer.
We need a hard frost around here.
Yeah, well, a lot of things just need to kind of
go to sleep,
come back strong next year,
myself included. I could use a nice long winter's nap. Next video is planting 10 containers for fall. 10 containers for fall.
Back porch. Or,
the Versailles area. Yeah, so we did 2 groupings of 3, so that's 6. The 2 pots by the door and 2 window boxes. They look good, I think. I really like it. Last year I kind of did over the top with the great big not Galloway. They're the huge urns from Unique Stone. What are those called?
Esplanade.
No.
Oh.
Gallery scroll.
Oh, yeah.
They're massive. They're out by our dumpster now. There's better scale for the dumpster area out there, but I used those full of corn. It did big stacks of straw, a ton of pumpkins and squash and plants, and it was a lot. This year I'm kind of going for a little bit more subdued. In fact, I don't even think I'm going to do corn stalk bundles or any of that. No straw, no, I'm just going maybe. But maybe. Never say never. But at this point, I'm like thinking, I like the clean, more sharp look. I love the lit branches we did on the front porch so much. I love the fact that there's no plants in those pots that I have to water. MK said, you know how much you're loved when you have 7 likes within 15 seconds of your daily vlog. Thanks for being a positive start to our day. And you guys are also a positive start to my day, because I get up and I start reading comments, and like largely 99.9% of comments that we read are super positive and encouraging and make me want to keep doing what we do. Lisa said, Echibeckia, is this a new plant? Where can they be found? Tell me all the things about this plant. So Echibeckia, as far as I know, I don't know a lot about it because it's pretty new to me too, but it's a mix between Rudbeckia and Echinacea. They have the Rudbeckia sort of flowers with Echinacea hardiness. That's all I know, to be honest with you. In fact, when I used one in my first containers in the wicker pots that I showed you, I called it a Rudbeckia because I didn't know. I didn't know it was an Echibeckia. I pre-ordered them, but I ordered them based off of a picture. So I'm like, I like those. I think I should have a few of those. I didn't even look at the name. So anyway, I'll do some more searching around about that plant. I've got a few more to put in the ground, so maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it later. Amy said, you are so great at getting the scale size of plants to match the container. Is there some sort of rule Is there some sort of design rule? Looks pretty. Thank you. Sometimes I don't get it right. Sometimes I do a container and I'm like, oh, nope. I missed it by that much. So, that's not like a foolproof thing. And I think the more you do containers, the more you just get used to what you need and what works well. And I don't know. What's the rule though? Like the container size versus the size of your tallest plant. There's a rule there. Is it like 2/3, 1/3?
Oh, You're asking the wrong person.
Like 2/3 container, 1/3. That's not right. Hold on. It's got to be something you can Google easily, right? Like container. The rule of thumb is the height of the tallest plant should not exceed 1 to 2 times the height of the container, excluding pedestals and air fairy sprigs. Diane said you used white and orange pansies in your containers. Are they annuals or perennials? Those are annuals. Sometimes pansies will reseed and come back. Sometimes that plant will stay through the winter. It kind of depends on how mild it is, but we typically treat them as annuals. Barbara said no holes in your jeans. Does that mean you're pregnant again? No, it does not mean that. It's so funny. Whenever I get new clothes so seldom that whenever I do, people hone in on it. Like, whoa.
What does that have to do with you being pregnant? Like, well, new clothes and being pregnant?
Usually when I buy new pairs, well, in the last 2 times I bought new pairs of pants, it's because I've had to buy maternity jeans.
Oh.
And they don't have holes in the knees or stains. And so people are like, whoa, she has clean pants on with no holes.
Well, maybe.
No, don't even say that. Don't even put that idea in people's minds. Samantha just turned 8 months old, and like, we have a boy and a girl. We are good. We are good with 2. I'm seeing light at the end of the tunnel with Samantha in terms of like she's mobile and it's making her so much happier, but it's also like it adds an extra layer of stress for us because she's pulling herself up on everything and she lets go. And she'll stand there, like freestand for a few seconds, and she'll pop down on her bum, which is something Benjamin never did. He would just fall like,
yeah, he just fell all the way backwards on his head.
So I think maybe we're more stressed than we have to be because Benjamin was just like this atypical, I don't know.
Yeah.
But she's trying to climb too, so she pulls herself up and then she starts putting a knee up, like she's gonna climb upstairs already. So you can't ever leave her alone. So she's happier, but also we're like, anyway, I'm seeing that light though, thinking by Christmas we'll probably have a walking baby. Mm-hmm. And that's so awesome. Oh, and it's so awesome going into a fall and Christmas and all that decorating and all that, like, I don't know, just gardening when you're not pregnant. Oh, so much easier. Yeah, and that goes for shoes too, Erin. Whenever I put on my black running shoes, I get the same question. Do you notice that? If I'm not wearing Vans, yeah, people are like, wait, are you wearing comfortable shoes because you're pregnant? I just wanted to wear different shoes. Melanie said, I know you use an irrigation system, but do you have recommendations for a drip system that is more practical for smaller gardens? I think that's a question more for you.
I don't think it matters what size garden you have. I think
all
it's all the same stuff. It's scalable.
Yeah.
If you have a bigger garden, you need more zones. Mm-hmm. If you have a really small garden, you can get away with a lot less zones.
And you usually have it either connected into your irrigation system, like we do, or you may have to hook it up to your hose, in which case you would need a series of parts, which we did a video for our 1 plant per pot challenge in front of the greenhouse, where we set up a drip system off of a hose faucet with a timer and all the proper pieces. We'll link it down below. Try to remember to link it down below, but it did show all the pieces that you need to look for in order to hook it up to your hose faucet. And then, depending on what you are putting drip to, you just go off of it with whatever you need. So you can either go off of it with 1/2-inch black poly tubing like we did and then tap into it like for individual emitters, or you can tap right in with your brown drip tubing that has emitter holes every 8 or 12 inches. I mean, there's so many different ways you can go from off of it, but the configuration of parts you need from your hose faucet to the actual drip tubing or the tubing you're going to your plants with will be the same. So we'll try to remember to link that. 4 Tablets said, where did you find those beautiful containers? So all of the concrete containers came from Unique Stone, which I love. I love the patina on those pots. I ordered all of them in the color Aged Stone, which is just kind of a natural concrete color. And you'll notice that I use that color for concrete in most the entire garden, because we have hard water so bad that it creates that white kind of crust on everything, and it just doesn't show up on natural kind of concrete color like it does on a darker stain. The Galloway urn that we ordered also came from Unique Stone. That's on the west side, kind of in the middle of our brick circle area along the pathway there. That one I ordered in, I'm trying to remember, it's kind of a greenish color. And I just ordered that one piece differently because I do like a variation of color, and I do like darker concrete pieces and things. It's just not practical, but I tried for that one just to see how it would look. And so far, that one's holding up. What is it called?
Ancient Age.
Ancient Age. Thank you. I'm trying to navigate the website right now and I'm not doing a good job of it. Dee said, beautiful. When are you, Erin, planning on installing your holiday lights?
Okay, so we usually try to get the house done prior to Halloween, if at all possible.
Before it gets icy and
Yeah, because otherwise it can get kind of slick on the roof.
And the house is going to be different this year.
Hopefully, man, if I can get a hold of what I need. But yeah, hopefully the house will be a little bit different this year. And then we've got the whole south garden. There's a bunch of, new trees and stuff like that out there.
The flower shed.
The flower shed.
If we can get trusses.
Probably not a good idea to do stuff in the orchard on those trees.
No, well, I don't
Because of
know.
buds and stuff, or...
Well, yeah, it's just, yeah, you're right.
Probably
well,
don't really
LEDs
wanna-
aren't warm though, right?
No, they're not.
Yeah, then you're fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, still, I wouldn't want to break branches or anything.
Well, I could do that for you if you want me to.
Okay.
If you have a scheme.
All that to say, there's a bunch of new things. It won't have the blue spruce,
No.
so we'll have some extra lights to put somewhere else.
Yeah. It should be pretty. I'm
Yeah.
excited. Okay, last video from this week was the Garden Center houseplant tour. They got in the most gorgeous load of houseplants, and I had already picked up a load, but when I was looking at it, I told Aaron, I gotta come back and show everybody these plants because they're so pretty, and it's always fun to do something like just a change of pace. So, first comment was, can we all appreciate the fact that Laura's mom just keeps everything looking so neat and tidy? I'd kill to have a garden center like that near me. That is a really high priority, to keep things fresh, to keep things tidy. Yep, for sure.
Just like you, she has help.
Yes. Yep, neither of us could do it without help. Yeah, really good help. Christy said, just curious, are you and Aaron or you and your siblings going to take over the family's business when your parents retire? Will they retire? Do you think they'll ever retire? My mom
Your
might.
mom might. I
My
don't think your
dad-
dad will.
My dad will want to just like,
He'll want to have a hand in the business till he can't,
yeah.
which might not make it super fun for whoever it is.
No, my dad's good to work with.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is pretty chill.
He is. I don't know, honestly. Who knows what will happen? I thought at one time that was my destiny, was to take over. I mean, it was weird. At first, when we were married and I was working, doing other things, and going to college too, I thought my future was going to look very different than it does now. And then I worked at the garden center for 10 years full time. I never thought I would ever work at the garden center for my parents, and I loved it. For the most part, I loved most all of it. And so I thought that that's what I was going to be doing forever. And I think that's what they were hoping. They hoped with all three of us, my brother and sister and I, that one of us would want to kind of take over eventually. And now that we're doing what we're doing, I mean, who knows? Who knows how long we'll be doing what we're doing? And, there may come a day where I go back to the garden center and work a little bit, and I enjoy it. Like, I was thinking of Christmas window display ideas and things like that. It's fun to be able just to pop back in and help with some of the fun parts.
Yeah.
Not the weeding and, daily grind stuff. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Beth said, beautiful plants. I'd love to have houseplants. It would be helpful to know which are and aren't toxic to cats. How do you keep Cheddar and Russell from eating your houseplants? Love your parents' garden center. Thank you for sharing. I don't know if it's because our cats are inside and outside, so they're around plants outside all the time, but they do not bother my houseplants at all. And I know a lot of pets will. So it is something that just isn't on my radar because it's not something I deal with, but I know I should be talking about that for sure. Because I know a lot of you guys deal with that. So I'll be more mindful for sure. Tamara said, can you force caladiums to grow for Christmas and Valentine's? They do have a natural growth rhythm, but just like everything, I think you can get them onto whatever rhythm you need them to be in, because like the caladiums that I got 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? I got the glorious load of caladiums from Proven Winners, and they were meant for Christmas time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were beautiful. That was last year, I think. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. They were so beautiful. When I got the load, I was like, we got to do a video. We just canceled what we were doing that day.
Well, sometimes you just get a plant that looks so good.
Yeah.
Cancel it.
Cancel it. And we're doing a caladium video today. They were beautiful. They are tough to keep as a houseplant for me though. They require a lot higher humidity than we have here, and they like consistently moist soil, and I do not do well with high maintenance houseplants. I just don't. They have to be able to go at least 2 weeks without any water from me.
And these want water almost every day.
Every day, yeah. I kept mine nice for a while, as long as I kept him on a rotation and I checked him often, which I was, because that's where the Christmas tree was, and I kind of wanted everything around that Christmas tree to look nice. So I did take water over on an everyday basis.
Still might be a nice replacement for
Poinsettias.
poinsettias because, you don't expect a poinsettia to last all year. Are you triggered that I'm saying poinsettia?
Poinsettia.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, people don't expect a poinsettia to last for, more than a few months.
Mm-hmm. Aaron is saying it properly. It is poinsettia.
Well, depends
Our region says poinsettia.
Depending on where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah. It is nice to have a different alternative, for sure. And then you can treat it just like a poinsettia and
yeah,
out it goes if you don't want to keep it. No judgment. Donna says, I have the opportunity to visit Mackinac Island. Could you please tell me the best time to see as many blooms as possible? Well, we've had the opportunity to go to Mackinac 3 times now, all of which, I think all those trips were right at the end of August, right? Like the last weekend of August, just the Grand Garden Show. And that's, in my mind, that's the best time to go because everything was glorious at that time of year. The blooms were amazing. And I know they've got a real short growing season, like really crazy winters, really late springs. So that's probably is the best time. Everything's at its peak right about then. Yeah, that's when I'd go. Diana said, is there a bird in the store? Yes, there's actually 5 birds in the store. The big bird cage has 1 tiny little finch in it that's been in there for years. And he doesn't want any other bird in there with him, so he just gets to be the lone bird in that huge cage. And there are 2 other cages in there with a couple other, like a pair of birds in each one of them. I can't remember what kind they are. But it's kind of a nice sound in there to have just to have that bird nature sound inside the garden center. And that's it for today's recap video. Hope you guys are having a really great day. Hope you have a fantastic week. Ooh, also, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but we were thinking of possibly starting to post our recap videos still on this channel, but on Sundays. Like make it an every Sunday because we struggle. We try to film these on a Monday and then have them up sometime in the week. But with all of our other projects, it's always a little bit of a struggle and we end up posting them like Friday or Saturday. So we may as well just post them on Sunday when we don't have a video go up on our main channel. That way we have a video going up somewhere on some channel every day of the week. Let us know your thoughts on that. I think we'll go ahead and do that with this one because that's what we did last week and just start that as our new schedule. That way you can know when to expect to see a recap. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.